Cherishing our blessings, we give with gratitude. Cherishing ourselves, we pass on great love. With respecting our hearts, we make no distinctions. In a world of love, we are all as one. Fountains of thanks, streams of respect, a boundless ocean of love. It strengthens life so there's no sorrow. Fountains of thanks, streams of respect, open our arms, embrace the world with love. Cherishing our blessings, we give with gratitude. Cherishing ourselves, we pass on great love. With respecting our hearts, we make no distinctions. In a world of love, we are all as one. Fountains of thanks, streams of respect, a boundless ocean of love. It strengthens life so there's no sorrow. Fountains of thanks, streams of respect, open our arms, embrace the world with love. Fountains of thanks, streams of respect, a boundless ocean of love. It strengthens life so there's no sorrow. Fountains of thanks, streams of respect, open our arms, embrace the world with love. Let us pray for peace in our land. Keep our hearts from sorrows and pain. Bless us all with joy and hope. Love and care for each one in this world. Let us pray for peace in our land. Keep our hearts from sorrows and pain. Bless us all with joy and hope. Love and care for each one in this world. us pray for peace in our land. Keep our hearts from sorrows and pain. Bless us all with joy and hope. Love and care for each one in this world. Let us pray for peace in our land. Keep our hearts from sorrows and pain. Bless us all with joy and hope. Love and care for each one in this world. Love and care for each one in this world. So the stars still gleam in the sky, and the moon rises up in the night. Deep from within comes the light of hope, compassion, and love unfold. As their hearts go out, full of mercy to the world, only bleed to see the earth in despair. With grace they would lift all the suffering and pain. They'll be there till the end of the time. So the stars still gleam in the sky, and the moon rises up in the night. Deep from within comes the light of hope, compassion, and love unfold. As their hearts go out, full of mercy to the world, only bleed to see the earth in despair. With grace they will.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. We welcome everyone who are joining us for our last English session of the year. So before we start our class, let's pay respect to Master Cheng Yen and Buddha. So please stand. And please put your palms together. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Now, please rest your palms and let us sing the Tzu Chi anthem. Please put your palms together and let us recite Tzu Chi's 10 precepts.
1. No killing. 2. No stealing. 3. No sexual misconduct. 4. No lying. 5. No drinking. 6. No smoking, using narcotics, or chewing betel nuts. 7. No gambling or speculation. 8. Practice filial piety and develop pleasant manners in speech. 9. Abide by traffic laws. 10. No participation in political events or demonstrations.
Next, let us recite Tzu Chi's mission statement.
Tzu Chi's mission statement. The Buddhist Tzu Chi Foundation carries on the Buddha spirit of great unconditional loving kindness and great universal compassion, and adheres to Venerable Master Ying Sun's noble aspiration for Buddha's teachings for sentient beings, to undertake the work of helping the poor and educating the wealthy. Therefore, our ideal is to cultivate loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity as we take action to save those in pain and suffering. We bring joy and relieve suffering, establishing a fresh and pure world of Tzu Chi. Our method is to nurture a wisdom that perfectly melds principles and practices as we actively invite good people of the world to cultivate this field of blessings together. By diligently planting countless heart lotuses, together we will create a society of love. Our task is to unify the 4 major missions of charity, medicine, education, and humanistic culture. Our spirit is one of sincerity, integrity, faith, and steadfastness. We deeply believe that all sentient beings are equal and that every person possesses Buddha nature. As long as we can enter through the door of compassion, we can get a glimpse of the majesty and beauty of the Buddha's teachings. As long as we can enter through the door of charity, those who give can attain blessings and be joyful, while those who receive can be saved and find peace. Life is impermanent. Our lives slip away with each passing day. We must take advantage of this precious life to plant good seeds and reap good fruits. Then we can avoid the regret of entering a mountain full of treasures but leaving empty-handed. Tzu Chi commissioners come together with wisdom and support each other with love. With these extraordinary causes and conditions, we join hands and take great strides on the Bodhisattva path. Because Tzu Chi commissioners all accept the Buddha's heart as their own heart, when one eye sees, thousands of eyes can see. Because we accept our teacher's mission as our mission, when one hand moves, 1,000 hands move. When we hear the cries of others in suffering, we immediately go to their aid and relieve them of their difficulties. This is no different from the 1,000 eyes and hands of Guanyin Bodhisattva. The same moon is universally reflected in the water of 1,000 rivers. The water of 1,000 rivers captures a single moon. The Buddha views all sentient beings with compassionate eyes, and the Dharma rain of his teachings fall on all universally, so that all can flourish. How compassionate, how wise. We, who are Tzu Chi commissioners, should practice the Tzu Chi path of goodness with right faith and right mindfulness. Through personal participation, we realize the truth of birth, aging, illness, and death, as well as formation, existence, decay, and disappearance. Through the planning and effort of many, we create Tzu Chi's enduring missions, which will be passed down and praised for generations. We will leave ourselves with beautiful memories, and our descendants will be proud of what we have done. To know what you have done in your previous lives, look at what you receive in this life. To know what will happen to you in a future life, look at what you do in this life. Human existence is difficult to attain, but we have already attained it. On the Bodhisattva path, we must be courageous and diligent so that love can fill our society. Then there will be a virtuous circle of goodness in the world. This is what it means to be a disciple of the Buddha's teachings, who cultivates both blessings and wisdom with right faith and right mindfulness. May these writings be used for all Tzu Chi volunteers to encourage each other.
Please be seated. So throughout this year, we have talked about the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, and we have invited Master Chen to of the Abode to share with us the third chapter of the sutra. So at the beginning of the year, throughout our classes, we had gone through the first two chapters, which were virtues and the expounding Dharma. So today, the third chapter of the Sutra of the Infinite Meanings is the 10 merits. So everyone please stand and put your palms together and bow. And we welcome Master Chen to share with us today.
Okay, can everyone hear my voice? I hope everyone can hear my voices very clearly and then
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Venerable Master Dharma Master Zhen Yan and dear sisters and brothers, good day to everyone. It is truly wonderful that although we are at different regions and locations, we still have an incredible affinity to come together, sharing with you through video conferencing. Today, it is my turn to share the chapter 3 of the Sutra of Infinite Meanings with you. As we know that the sutra has 3 chapters, and you have done the first chapter is the chapter on virtues, and it is expounded by the Master Yuan Shifu, which praises the Buddha's virtues. And second chapter is the chapter on expounding the Dharma, which discusses the teaching that the Buddha taught during his lifetime and their order. Now it comes with the chapter 3 on the 10 merits. This chapter discusses the transmission of the sutra as well as the 10 merits of the sutra. Here, as you can see from my slide, and here shows the table content of the chapter 3. The first one is where does this sutra come from? And the second is this sutra that I teach is truly very profound. And here after comes the second one are the 10 merits until the end. So if you have the books with you, basically I believe that the pages are quite much. So if you can have your time, please read that as you can as possible. And before I directly go into the third chapters, I need to mention that after Buddha finished the teachings on the chapter 2, the sentient beings attained fruits according to their capabilities. And in order to help transmit the teachings, great magnificent Bodhisattva again asked the Buddha to clarify for us the 10 types of benefits we gain if we believe in, accept, and promote the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, which is to walk on the Bodhisattva path and put the spirit of the Lotus Sutras into practice. And as we know that sentient beings all have great desires, so the Buddha had to adapt to sentient beings' capabilities. He not only teaches to form aspirations and practice the Bodhisattva path, he also teaches accord with our desires, and moreover, he explained to us, if you form aspirations to practice the Bodhisattva path, you will be able to attain 10 kinds of merits, which means that if we are able to benefit others, we ourselves will naturally be able to attain the 10 merits. And it is a kind of way to elevate people's aspirations. So let's directly go into the passage of the sutra, which starts from, at that time, great magnificent Bodhisattva Mahasattva again said to the Buddha, World honored one, you have taught this wondrous, performed, and surpassed great vehicle sutra of infinite meanings. Truly, it is very profound, very profound, very profound. Here, the passage is quite interesting because he repeated the sentence very profound, all 3 times. It gives us that impression that Buddha tries to convince every one of us, even his disciples, to believe in the Sutra of Infinite Meanings has great, very profound meanings within it. And the teachings of the Sutra is great, profound, and unsurpassed, just as I mentioned before. And its principles truly are very, very deep and inseparable from natures and appearances. From the first time I heard the Buddha teach until now, there is no other teaching that surpasses the one the Buddha just told. So why it is so? It is because that all those listening to the sutra, including bodhisattvas, bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, heavenly beings, dragons, kings, and all beings, which the passage gives us very, very all different kinds of, beings from the earth, from heaven, and all attained the reigning teachings after listening. So even those who had not yet formed aspirations were able to form aspirations to more towards the body path to awakening when they heard these teachings. And even some of them can have, to obtain the Dharani doors, the 3 dhammas, the 4 fruits, or the Bodhi-mind. So here the passage continues to say that we should know that the sutra is true in word and principle and supremely honored. It is safeguarded by all Buddhas of the 3 periods. No Maras or heretics can enter it, nor can it be corrupted by the deviant views that perpetuate cyclic existence. Here the passage, the word true, means that it is without a deviation. Oh, please go into the front slide, please. It's still in the front class. Yes, please. Okay, the word true means that it is without deviation. The words in this sutra and the principles are true with no deviation teachings. And the doctrines of the infinite profound teachings are safeguarded by the Buddhas of the 3 periods, which means the past, the present, and future. And every Buddha expands the principles of the Lotus Sutra's teachings when he appears in the world. And what's the relationship between the Sutra of Infinite Meanings and the Sutra of Lotus? Here I need to give you some brief explanation about this. First, the purpose of the Sutra of Infinite Meanings was simply to bring the assembly together, and the true Dharma was expounded in the Lotus Sutra. And the Sutra of Infinite Meanings is the spiritual foundation of the Jin-Si Dharma lineage and Siji school of Buddhism. So it also contains the essence of the Lotus Sutra. So therefore, the Lotus Sutra's teachings are safeguarded by all Buddhas of the 3 periods, just the passages of the scriptures I mentioned before. Every Buddha teaches the Lotus Sutras when he prepares to enter the Parinibbana, because the text is true and has no deviant views. So Maras and heretics are able to enter it. The ancient says that evil cannot triumph over good. So heretical and evil teachings are unable to penetrate the Sutra door of Infinite Meanings and the Lotus Sutra. Also, when we can be steadfast in the Buddha's foundational spirit, we will not be corrupted by morals of cyclic existence. And the passages of the scripture continues to say, why is this so? By hearing it only once, one is enabled to uphold on Dharma. If sentient beings hear the sutra, it is to their great benefit. Why is this so? If they can practice it, they are sure to readily attain unsurpassed body. So the passage, which means that if sentient beings are able to hear the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, as soon as they hear it, they will be able to uphold all Dharma. They will be able to steadfastly walk the path and put it into practice. And they will definitely be able to improve their life and diligently praise the Lord. In this way, they will definitely attain great benefit, including to readily attain unsurpassed body, which is the path to great awakening. So why we in this the passage keep asking and convincing us that if you didn't hear the great wonderful sutra, it is a great loss. It is because that if sentient beings are able to hear the sutra, we should know that it is a great loss to them. Even after passages of countless, limitless, inconceivable asankhya's of kalpas, they ultimately will not attain surpassed body. Simply explanation is such like this. It is because if we are able to practice the Dharma door of the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, we will attain unsurpassed body. If sentient beings are able to learn about the spirit and teaching of the Bodhisattva path, it will be a great loss to them. In other words, if we hear very little, the benefit to our lives is sure to be less. If we are able to hear more, the benefit to our lives will be greater. So in the Buddhist story, one of the Buddhist story tells about a turtle swimming in such a vast ocean, lifts his head and happens to put it through this hole. Wouldn't this be an incredible coincidence? So we often say that it is very rare to hear the Buddha Dharma, which means that the Buddha Dharma can be encountered but not sold. So the great path to Bodhi actually is very straight. Why is this so? It is not only that the great path to Bodhi is straight, they take parallel paths and face many adversities. So the passage keeps saying that word on one, this sutra is inconceivable. I only wish that the word on one, out of loving kindness and sympathy, will extensively expound for this assembly the profound and inconceivable aspects of this sutra. As we know that when people do improper and shameful things in the world, doing everything for their own benefit, they will naturally not dare to walk on the great path in an open-hearted and proper way. In particular, those who do not take the right path and instead take detours will encounter many adversities, and those who follow the Bodhisattva's path and walk straight along the great, direct Bodhi path will be free of adversities. So the great magnificent Bodhisattva again asks the Buddha to extensively expound this sutra to benefit all. So the passage goes, the word honored one, where does this sutra come from? And where does it go? And where does it bind? To have such infinite merit and inconceivable power that it enables sentient beings to readily attain Anattara Samkhya Sambodhi. At that time, the word honored one, which means the Buddha, told the great magnificent Bodhisattva says that good man, indeed. It is as you say, good man. This sutra that I teach is truly profound, very profound. Why is it so? Because it enables sentient beings to readily attain the Bodhi-mind, which means to be able to attain the Buddhahood. As we know that after being guided by the Buddha for a long time, everyone, including the Buddha's disciples, including different kinds of beings, both from earth and heaven, had more or less understood the teachings. That was when the Buddha began to give the great Dharma, so expounding the extremely profound sutra. So first of all, we need to give the definition of what is great benefits meant to be, because hearing it once enables them to uphold all Dharma, because it brings great benefits to sentient beings, because it enables them to walk the great straight path without facing any adversities. So those are mentioned above are all belongs to great benefits. So especially masters often teach us that benefiting oneself is a limited benefit. To benefit others is called a great benefit. And the Lotus Sutra teachings especially have an impartial spirit of passing on the teachings. In this way, one person can transform several people, and several people can then transform countless more people. Here we come to the next slide, to the slide 16. So if we have the spirit to both benefit ourselves and benefit others, this is taking the great straight path. And this is what it means to walk on the Bodhisattva path. On the path of our lives humans, the most important thing is to form a good affinities with people. If we can generously help people and have the spirit of giving, we will not be alone in this world. And in this way, we will be able to follow the great path without any worries or obstructions. Next page. So the passage continues to go like that. Good man, you ask where this sutra comes from, where it goes, and where it abides. You should listen well. Good man, this sutra comes from the royal home of all Buddhas, goes to where ascension beings develop Bodhicitta, and abides wherever Bodhisattvas practice. Good man, this sutra comes in this way, goes in this way, and abides in this way. Here the passage keeps mentioned the good man. The good man refers to the great, magnificent Bodhisattva. And here, the royal home of the Buddhas is the Buddha's mind. The sutras comes from the home of all the Buddha's mind. So the sutra flows to sentient beings' minds to enable them to practice the Buddha spirit. Because the sutra flows directly from the Buddha's mind, it has infinite merits. And I believe that this short passage is quite important during the chapter 3. So please keep in mind that always remember that the royal home of the Buddhas is the Buddha's mind. And the sutra comes from the home of the Buddha's mind. So Buddha continues to say, good man, would you like to hear the powers of 10 inconceivable merits of this sutra? Please go to the upper slide, the previous one, okay? Then the great magnificent Bodhisattvas replied, we would be willing, delighted, and eager to hear. So what are these 10 merits? After that, I will, give you a brief introductions of each merit, but I need to apologize all of you that because as you know our time limitation, it is impossible for us to go through the whole passages in this sutra. So as a result, we will adapt the book of the essence of infinite meanings to explain a core meaning of teach merit. And the adapted verses of the Sutra of Infinite Meanings were compiled by Mr. Wang Duanzhen, who distilled the central ideals of the sutra and turned them into lyrics that could be sent to music. It thus enables people to carry the Buddha in our hearts and live out the Dharma. And in this book, Master Cheng Yen expands the verses from the musical adaptation of the Sutra of Infinite Meanings in hopes of getting straight to the core to the Sutra's teachings. So through the explanation of the main principles of the Sutra, the Master hopes readers can understand the underlying spirit of the Jin Si Dharma lineage and the Tzu Chi schools of Buddhism. So here becomes the first merit from the passages in the chapter 3. First it goes, the Buddha said, good man, first, the sutra can enable bodhisattvas to have not yet development bodhicitta, enable those who have no loving kindness to give rise to a mind of loving kindness, enable those who are prone to killing to give rise to a mind of great compassion, enable those who are jealous to give rise to apathetic joy. In short, the first merit is to give rise to the body mind, enable those who have cravings and attachments to give rise to a mind of equanimity, and enable those who are misery and greedy to give rise to a mind of giving, and enable those who are arrogant to give rise to a mind of upholding precepts, and enable those who are filled with anger to give rise a mind of passions, enable those who become lax to give rise a mind of diligence, also enable those who are unfocused to give rise a mind of samadhi, and enable those who are ignorant to give rise to a mind of wisdom, enable those who are not yet able to deliver others to give rise to the will to deliver others, enable those who commit the 10 evils to give rise to a mind of the 10 good deeds, enable those who delight in contriving to vow to attain an uncontriving mind, enable those who retreat in their will practice to create a mind that never retreats, enable those who licks to give rise a mind free of licks, and enable those who have many afflictions to give rise the will to eliminate them. Good man, this is the inconceivable power of the first merit of this sutra. It seems that the first merit contains lots of messages to us. So let's just pick up some of very important parts to explain and to share with you my own thoughts. The first one is about the concept of killing. Here, the master of just simply tries to convey one very important message that we should love and protect all sentient beings. The loving kindness refers to the giving joy, to doing our best to make sentient beings joyful. And we can do that. If we can do that, every one of us will be very happy at every second, every day, and even in our own this life. And people whose character is harsh and who lack a mindset of loving and protecting others will understand the fundamental teachings of Bodhisattvas after hearing the sutra. Here we are in the slide 20. Moreover, they will understand that sentient beings are equal and that all have the potential to attain Buddhahood. And please go to the previous slide. Thank you. So the concept no killing. Killing is the foremost among all evil evil deeds in the Buddha's teaching. So killing does not refer only to kill people. The harming of any beings that live, breathe, and move is considered killing. That is why in Buddha's teaching, one of the precepts we need to follow is no killing, but holding a loving heart with compassion. We treat every living creatures on earth the same, just like we humans. For humans are animals too. So we live with the animals and plants, and everything on the planet is a natural part of the universe. So based on the Buddhist values, the lives of all living creatures are equals. Just as we want to be happy and avoid the pain, just as every of us want to live and not die, and so do other creatures. The next slide. So there is a teaching in Buddhism that all living, moving beings have Buddha nature. Even if a being is smaller than an inch, a small insect or mosquito, so long as it can move, it has life. Living beings that have life all desire to live and fear death. So in Buddhist discussions on the 6 rings, other than the human rings, there's also the animal ring. As you can see, I just painted a circle chart. This is the 6 rings, and we often mentioned in Buddhist teaching. They are the heaven ring, human beings ring, the astral ring, animal ring, hell ring, and final hungry ghost ring. So there's also these living beings, these animals are always in the 6 realms. And we do not know when will we fell into the animal ring in our next lifetime. So it is impossible that our parents, our relatives, or other people we love from this life or past lives will also enter the animal ring. So if we give rise to a mind of killing, it could be that we will kill the people that we love. This is something we cannot be sure of. So it is very crucial and very important that the Master keeps promoting the plant-based diets to each of us, because the vegetarian food can nurture our compassion. And adopting a plant-based diet is for the purpose of nurturing our compassion, just as we do not want other people to eat our own flesh. How can we bear to eat the flesh of other sentient beings? So Master gives an example that there was once a young man whose wife was convalescing for the month after childbirth. Instead of having a sesame oil, Master suggests he kills a chicken each day in order to give her the most flesh meat. He insisted that if the meat is kept overnight, it is like eating rotten flesh of a dead person, and the taste and the texture is not very good. So actually, it doesn't mean that the meat, the animals, and the flesh of humans are very similar, are very quite different. After that, they began to rot. Just like as we humans, after we died, as time goes by, our flesh will rot. The meat also has the same meaning. Meat will rot and become putrid. So how can it taste good? Just for a moment's craving for taste, people sacrifices so many innocent lives. So as a kind of many Buddhists, we also follow one principle that we, as much as we can, to avoid the pungent vegetables and spices. The people who follow a Buddhist vegetarian diet and uphold it also do not eat onions, garlic, leek, and other pungent things. So their tempers will be better and their bodies will be more hygienic. It is not only nurtures our mind of our compassion and brings benefits to people who have bad tempers or are easily excitable. These are all advantages of holding a vegetarian diet. So in the first Mary, they also give us the messages that sometimes we are human beings are easily, get jealous to other people. So it is a very, bad habitual tendencies. So Buddha encourages and teaching us that if we can read these sutras, maybe little by little, we can eliminate the jealousy and craving and attachment. And instead of being arrogant, we can give rise to a mind of upholding precepts. And instead of being ignorant, we can give rise to a mind of wisdom. And instead of being lazy, lax, we can give rise to a mind of diligence. And that is to actualize the 6 parameters. The 6 parameters in Buddha's teachings, very crucial and very important. What are they? They are giving, uphold precepts, passions, diligence, and samadhi. And the fact that is in this world, we must always keep in mind that the master teaches that there are always people who are more outstanding than we are. We cannot say, I am the most amazing. We must be humble and constantly seek learning. So when people who originally had the mindset of jealousy encounter the teachings of the sutra, they will naturally eliminate their envy, craving, and attachment to give rise to a mind of equanimity. And here the passage mentioned the word ignorant, refers to those who cannot differentiate among or clearly understand the matters and the principles. Next slide. So we need to practice the 10 good deeds and eliminate the 10 evils. The 10 evils are the 3 evils of the body, the 4 evils of speech, and 3 evils of the mind. And the body contains the behavior of killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. And the speech contains the harsh speech, love to, talking gossip, flattery, and false speech. And the mind contains the mindset of greed, anger, and ignorance. Especially, I want to, still mention the part of killing. When we wake up each morning, we must pay attention to the tiny living beings beneath our beds and must avoid stepping on them. We must repent and must not just casually forgive ourselves if we, didn't in purpose to, kill the insects such as the mosquitoes or lice. We must, often keep the repenting attitude in everyday life. We must then give blessings to these beings to quickly to be reborn in the pure land if we not carefully, kill them. And that is the first thing that I do as long as I wake up from every day, every morning. Then it is the master thing, and I will do every day. So I hope after you listen this part, maybe when you wake up in the morning and you have this kind of mindset and wish your mind that you can, be careful any tiny creatures on the ground, try not to step on that purposely. And here comes to the second Mary. The second Mary is inconceivable. One Dharma can give rise to thousands and millions of meanings. Thousands and millions can repeatedly give rise to more, thus continually in this way on to infinite meanings. By fully grasping one principle, we can grasp 10,000. By taking in a single teaching, we can take in 10,000. We diligently read and study each word in each line to understand infinite, wondrous, and subtle principles. And these teachings which they uphold could not be taught even in countless scholars. Why is this so? Because the Dharma in this sutra has infinite meanings. In the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, every meaning can produce hundreds, thousands, and millions of meanings. This is just like how starting from a single seed. Through this process, the seeds can continually keep producing more and more seeds. And the one seed is able to produce an infinite, incalculable number of seeds. As we know that the Sutra of Infinite Meanings is the spiritual foundation of the Jin's Dharma lineage in the Tzu Chi school of Buddhism. And I believe that every Tzu Chi volunteers is a seed of the Bodhi tree. So it also contains, so the masters often shares that the sutras on a path, and this path is a road to walk on. And all sutras and scriptures can be applied to our society and to our relationships. And the Dharma that the Buddha expounded over 2,000 years ago is being put into practice by Tzu Chi volunteers today. And the teaching are being realized not only in Tzu Chi's birthplace, Taiwan, but in every corner of the world. Wherever Tzu Chi volunteers have made the aspiration to benefit others. So every Tzu Chi volunteer is a seed of the Bodhi tree. And nowadays, we have already produced lots of seeds of love throughout the whole world to benefit others. For instance, here I give you one two very successful examples. Tzu Chi's Rice Bank movement in Myanmar serves a very powerful examples how individuals can make a significant impact and empower the community through securities by sharing resources and supporting those in need. And in the afternoon, as we know that in the aftermath of the Cyclone August, which hit Myanmar 15 years ago, many paddy fields were inundated and causing lots of farmers to lose their lifetime savings and go into debt. As they had already taken up loans to purchase their rice seeds, many of them couldn't afford to buy any more rice seeds, so thus driving the livelihood of many farming families to a dead end. Next slide, please. Yes, as you can see the pictures, this is our Tzu Chi volunteers that distributing the goods, relief goods, and the rices to the impoverished farming families. As we know that lots of farmers, they are very grateful after they receive the Tzu Chi's food parcels and the rice seeds. And one of the farmers, please go to the next slide. One of the farmers, Wu Sanding and Wu Dingtun, and these two farmers are very important in this event. And Wu Sanding is one of the farmers who later initiated the Rice Bank movement and pledged to help others in need after receiving assistance from Tzu Chi. His family is very interesting. They will keep a handful of rice in a separate container before cooking every day. And the rice left was then donated to the needy. So the rice seeds can inspire the farmer's compassion, and a kind thought can spread hope. With the spirit of the rice bank, we set aside a handful of rice into another container whenever we cook. And the rice that was saved can be used to help others in need. These are all the thoughts that the farmers in many farmers' mind, because they think although they are very poor, have no money to donate, but at least they can save a handful of rice every day to help people in need. So from 2019, next page, to 2021, Wu Sanding and Wu Dingtun has successfully promoted the Rice Bank movement to at least 220 local villages and garnered the support of over 83,000 households. In this way, these villages managed to collect those kilograms of rice as relief supplies for nearly 4,000 impoverished families. Here, sorry about that, I give the wrong figures. It says that to help 250 poor families, this is wrong. It should be nearly 4,000 impoverished families. And here we comes to the third merit. The third merit is conceivable with it. We can attain freedom, transform others, and manifest the power of our vows. Although we have afflictions, it is as if we have no afflictions. Although still in sickly existence, we have no fear. Though continuously fettered by 118 grave illnesses, we have compassion for sentient beings without focusing on ourselves. We are like a master boatman whose body is ill. If he has a sturdy boat, he can still help others to cross. The passage simply just mentioned one word, affliction. First, we need to understand what is affliction. The definition of afflictions are illnesses of the mind and body. When the mind has discursive thoughts, it is unable to settle down and creates afflictions. So grief, anger, and ignorance are afflictions. So if we can deeply penetrate the meaning of this sutra, even if we still have feelings of affection or afflictions, we will have knowledge and wisdom to suppress our afflictions. Next page. So here passage keep continually. They can carry the wealthy treasure of unsurpassed beauty and take on the responsibility of helping sentient beings escape the cycle of birth and death. Here it means that all of us should delve into the teachings of infinite meanings to learn the Bodhisattva way and learn how to shoulder the Tathagata family's mission and learn the wisdoms of Buddha. So every person has a responsibility to take on the Buddha's family's mission and spread the teachings to save and transform sentient beings. Sometimes some of the commissioners that will give these passages reflections about, sometimes it is very hard for them to achieve this kind of standard, but I keep encouraging them that don't be afraid because we are still learning. So as long as we know our directions and go directly on the road to the Buddha and the Bodhisattva way, one day we will gradually achieve this kind of experience and our goal. And so learn from earth, just like the masters mentioned that we can learn from Earth Treasury Bodhisattvas, Bizang Wang Pusa, making an experiment to save the transformed all until all have been transformed and the hell is empty. So I will forgo enlightenment. So with a sturdy ship, we can cross the other shore. So the passage keeps going like, this is like a master boatman whose body is suffering from severe illness, whose limbs are incapacitated and who remains on this shore. Yet he has a sturdy ship equipped for transporting people, with which he allows others to cross. And those who uphold this sutra are also like this. Here, the boatman is the tool for our spiritual practice, and the Buddha Dharma is the boat. Although people have afflictions, we have lots of worries, but still we can be able to transform ourselves as well as others through using the Buddha Dharma. So also the sutra continues to mention the 108 grave illnesses. This refers to we human beings have 108 entanglements, which means 108 afflictions we have. Just like nowadays, many people are suffering from their miserable life in Africa. But as the love, the seed of love of Tzu Chi has spread the Buddha Dharmas through this continent. So the mission of the Tzu Chi has crossed at least 10 countries to sow the seeds of the great love, including the Zimbabwe and the South Africa and Mozambique and etc. Next page. Even we try to promote the concept of the 50 cents can help the poor can realize their riches. There are 55 countries in Africa. However, many are in food crisis and due to poverty, war, global warming, and extreme climate patterns. And Taiwan has been donating rice to the impoverished in Africa since 2011. As of 2020, the rice has benefited more than 5 million people, and every rice bag has printed with love from Taiwan. Next page. So Tzu Chi has been working in Africa for more than 20 years, helping the poor and suffering. And from South Africa, volunteers have reached lots of places I just mentioned before, including Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and other countries, mobilizing local volunteers as their main workforce in charity work. Also, as we know that since the Syrian civil war broke out in 2011, many refugees fled to Turkey, Jordan, and other nearby countries. And Tzu Chi volunteers send love to the refugees. And the historical milestone begins with on January 23rd, 2015, Tzu Chi volunteers in Turkey collaborated with the government and established Manahil School and provided financial assistance to the refugee children. The volunteers collaborated with teachers from Syria, and together they comforted the refugee children, give them a chance to study and restore hope to their previously turbulent life. In May 2018, the Ministry of Education in Turkey officially recognized the Manahil International School. With love in our hearts, there will be no hatred. We aim to bring love onto the hearts of the children in this school to bring peace to the world. And local Tzu Chi volunteers share the story of the Bamboo Bank to encourage the Syrian refugee children to save their spare change to do good. In this way, they learn to repay kindness with kindness. Even with limited strength, they were still willing to give to help others in suffering. And we did see their, feedback in Taiwan because magnitude 6.0 earthquake struck Hualien, Taiwan on February 6, 2018. It led to collapsed buildings, cracked road surfaces, and casualties and injuries. The school's children began fundraising to donate their changes as much as they're possible, and students donate to help the Hualien earthquake survivors. So after we know their kindness and their donation, lots of Taiwanese people are very touched and moved, and can witness that the seed of love has implanted in every children's mind. And here we go to the fourth merit. The fourth merit is inconceivable. With it, all Buddhas will protect us and keep us in their thoughts. Although we have not yet delivered ourselves, we can deliver others. All Bodhisattvas are our companions on the path. We are like the newborn prince of the king, who is very young and not yet able to manage the affairs of the state. However, he is already respected by his ministers and citizens, and the king and queen love him and regularly converse with him. The same, the fifth Mary gives the similar metaphor that like a newborn dragon, only 7 days old, who can already gather clouds and bring down the rain. And the sixth Mary mentions that although we cannot yet abide by the ground of stillness, we have the wisdom to eliminate delusions and grasp truth. We are like a prince who, though still young, can manage the affairs of state and lead to the government. Although we cannot attain the full awakened status, we have the potential to relieve all sufferings and disasters. Here I want to share with you one of very, very cherishable and successful examples in the orphans of Asia. As we know, the northern Thailand is the mountains with infertile land, with difficult transportations, rainy autumns and summers, the dry winters, and people there lived in poverty. So from 1949 to 1954, after the Second Chinese Civil War, youth from the many different crises have stumbled across the multiple mountains to northern Thailand. They could not return to their homeland, nor could they make a living in the new land. Further, they were undocumented. So what can they do? They had no people to help them. Especially the lack of teachers in North Thailand was also a major concern when it comes to education. So in terms of health, North Thailand is considered a malaria-afflicted area, and the turbulence is also quite common. The children were malnourished, lacking in protein and vitamin intake, and were short and skinny. So on the next page, in 1994, Tzu Chi volunteers went to conduct assessments in North Thailand. In 1995, the 3-year poverty relief project began, and their plan included building the Great Love Village, bureaus for land, improving agricultural technology, adopting nursing homes, caring for the poor, and also, providing scholarships. And the project drew to an end. Tzu Chi then began planning for the Chiang Mai Tzu Chi School. Because, there are lots of stories I didn't mention in how we, help the North Thailand. But here we can see a short clip about our musical adaptations. They mentioned this part in the 10 Marys. So let's all together watch these short clips. So could Jing Ding please help us to, okay?
亚细亚的孤儿在风中哭泣，没有人要和你玩平等的游戏，每个人都想要你心爱的玩具，亲爱的孩子，你为何哭泣？
政府对泰北的扶助计划已经告一段落了，希望慈济能够接续。
该做的就一定要做。
一丝不得不思议，诸佛不念于一生，虽为此不能度他，与诸菩萨为他语。你如果忘心忘志，知晓我是难领力，但为生命所憧憬，往后爱中常落雨。
现在有了农作物，必须要有马路，才能运得出去。我们来修马路，我们来修马路。 3年扶困计划。
第五宫的男子意，是松树谢可不离，刹那哼哧长相依，终生幸福的欢喜。
虽未远离凡夫事，又能实现大菩提。譬如龙子生其日，岂能行云雨？
现在有了马路，农作物可以运出去了。
可是我们没有身份证，没有办法下山啊。
上人指示要走出大山，唯有取得身份证。我们有身份证了！等等，有了身份证，还要办教育，才能翻转你们的人生。我们来盖学校，盖学校。
第六宫的不思议，生死烦恼尽远离，能断一切苦与恶，与佛如来无差异。虽未得诸不动地，未能断或能舍离。譬如王子虽知晓，能离过世。
你们有学校了！
我们终于有学校了。
Okay, please to the next page. Well, dear all, because sorry about that, because our time is, is all have run out of time, but I still have other 4 Marys to share about. But I think it's okay. If you want to my slides, I can give Jin Ding, and maybe she can send my files to you, because I want our activities won't be delayed because of my course. So I'm very glad I can meet you all on the internet, and hope we can, if we have another time, maybe we can share more about the 4 merits with you. So this is the end of my presentation, and thank you for your listening.
Sorry, there are no sound. No microphone. We don't hear you.
Okay, thank you, Master Chen. So, so our PowerPoint, we will pass it on to everyone after after the lesson for today. So we learned from merits 1 to 6, and then we will then learn from merits 7 to 10 after when we see the PPT. So next we will have Sister Jingrou to share with us about charity visits. So in our previous classes, we learned about how to start a charity case and how we can help this family. So if we want to learn how to close a case, let us hear Sister Jingrou share with us today.
Hello. Good day to all the brother and sister over there. Thank you for giving me a chance to share the charity mission. I'm Jingrou. Yeah, this slide will cover core values, ground rules of home visit, close case, and the 4 embracing virtue to be applied during the home visit. Let's review the core values of the charity missions are inspiring the rich to help the poor and guiding the poor to do good in return. Here are 5 principles to be applied in the charity mission: directness. We give help to the people in need without involving second party or third party. Focus. Our need is focused to uplift their life and to motivate them. Respect. We respect the people in need regardless of their nationality, religion, and races. And whatever help we give, long-term help or mid-term help or short-term help, those programs should be pragmatic to help to relieve the suffering of the people. If we receive any call to help, we should give the help timely, or that is called timeliness. Before we open a new case, we should pay an initial visit, that is to assess the needs of the potential beneficiary, collect the documents, for example, the birth cert of the family members, and some official documents. After the initial visit, we should do a follow-up meeting to discuss the new cases, to plan what are the assistance to be provided in the next one home visit. Let's watch a short video before we discuss the rules of the home visit.
A man was waiting at an airport for a long-distance flight. His flight was delayed, and so he had a little spare time. He saw a deal on some cookies and thought he should treat himself. He bought quite a few cookies because he thought it might be quite a long delay. He took a seat near a man and started to read the magazine he also picked up earlier. He exchanged a glance with the other man and then tried to avoid eye contact as he went back to reading. While he was engrossed in his magazine, he happened to see that the man sitting beside him boldly grabbed a cookie from the container. He initially ignored the incident to avoid a scene. He grabbed a cookie himself and went back to his magazine. But the man seemed to have enjoyed the cookie so much, he took another one and started eating it too. This continued for a while, and with each passing moment, he began to get more and more irritated. Every time he took a cookie, so did the other man. When the last cookie was left, the man nervously took that cookie and broke it in half. He offered the other to the man and smiled. The man took the cookie and could not believe the other man's nerve. He was thinking in his head, how ungrateful could that man be? The other man then left and took the container with him. This guy couldn't believe what had just happened. He was relieved when his flight was called. He gathered his belongings. As he lifted his bag, he saw that there was a full container of cookies right there. He was totally shocked, totally surprised. It caught him off guard. He thought to himself, if my cookies are here, then wait, those cookies were his. The other man had shared his cookies whilst he was thinking he was the one doing the sharing. Whilst he was angry and irritated, the other man was being generous and kind. He felt so bad for what had happened, but he couldn't find the other man anywhere and didn't know how to apologize. Things are not always as they appear. Sometimes we make quick assumptions about people, circumstances, and situations. We judge them, label them, and put them into a box, not recognizing that there is a much bigger picture. Sometimes we meet someone in a particular state, stage, or phase of their life and stereotype them to be a certain way. Don't be so quick to judge. You never know when you might find yourself walking in someone else's shoes. And remember, the best apology is changed behavior.
Okay. Here are the don'ts in the home visit. From that movie, we learned that we should not make quick assumptions about people's situations, and we should not do judgment in a hurry, stereotype people and label the people as lazy or weak. We should not make a call or ask the people to meet at a place of their house. Here are the etiquette that we should follow. As we are the volunteer of Tzu Chi, we will wear uniform or vest during our home visit, and we should adopt this gratitude. Sorry for the technical problem. The attitudes that we should apply during the home visit, we should be grateful, respect, love, and be patient. And we should show our empathy, put ourselves into the shoes of the people, give equal compassion. If you would like to bring some food during the home visit, and vegetarian food is allowed. And remember, home visit is a teamwork. And if you want to make any physical contact, just bear in mind that close physical contact, for example, a warm hug should be done between the same gender. If you want to bring some magazine, you can bring a Da Ai magazine. You can show the Tzu Chi News, the ITV program through your handphone with your own mobile data. During the home visit, we should respect the religion and the culture of the other people. And remember, there's no money transaction, and do not be the guarantor if they want to apply any loan in the bank. Here are the ground rules before we do the home visit. Our team should consist about 3 to 4 volunteers. We should make a call to make an appointment with the care recipient before we pay the visit, and make sure we allocate sufficient time, not more than 1 hour for each family. And we should assign the tasks before we reach the family. For example, one should be the one who record this home visit, and another one should deal with the care recipient, and the other volunteers can interact with the children or the elderly in the house. If we have any new member to join us before the home visit, make sure we give a briefing of the background of the care recipients. During the home visit, we should listen attentively to the care recipient. Make sure we switch our handphone to the mute mode, and we always show empathy to whatever they say. If we want to take photo, make sure we get the permission from the care recipient. If they want to ask for any help, do remember we do not simply give promise or private donation. And just bear in mind, no personal information, for example, your house address, your working place should not be given. All right, look at the few cases here. What shall we do? The C represents the care recipient, and the T represents the Tzu Chi volunteer. If the care recipient asks us that she does not have enough money to cover her living expenses, can we increase the cash? And as a Tzu Chi volunteer, some may respond, no problem, we can help you with that. All right, I would like to ask brothers and sisters online, do you agree that the response from the Tzu Chi volunteer? If you agree, just put yes in the chat box. If you don't agree, just write no and give reason. We are waiting, we are welcoming your response in the chat box. Thank you. Oh, thank you for the response from Sri Lanka. Do we have other response? Yeah, thank you. No, until after the carefully assess and discuss with the team. Yes. We cannot give promise without getting any proper review of the case. Well done. Thank you, brother and sister, for your response. Now look at the second case. All right, our care response. Here he goes. Brothers and sisters, here are the drinks for all of you. And the Tzu Chi volunteer may respond, oh yes, by the way, shall we take a photo together? I can upload it onto my Facebook. Do you think that this reaction from the volunteer is appropriate? We would like to hear your response in the chat box. Thank you. Do you think it's appropriate to upload the photo with the care recipient onto our Facebook? Thank you. Thank you from the response. Yes, definitely no. Because their information is confidential to us and we should protect their status. Do not reveal their status in the public. Thank you. Now the following case. Sister, I'm down with flu and having a headache. I'm not sure which doctor to go to. And the volunteer replied, if it's just a headache, there's no need to visit a doctor. Just take some Panadol. Do you think that this response is appropriate? Brother and sister, we would like to hear you in the chat box. Okay, we receive an answer from the UK, Lydia. No, there'll be more condition behind the headache. Yes, remember we don't behave like a doctor to give any prescription or advice. Okay, let's. Okay, here we would like to share with you some other strategies of empathetic listening. Number one, patience. Listen to the care recipients all the way through. It's important to show our acceptance by nodding, giving response. For example, I understand, I see. Second, avoid any defensive language. Do not argue with what is being said and concentrate on how they feel. Number three, observe the body language of a care recipient. Pay attention to the nonverbal sign. For example, their hand movement, all right, their physical movement, their physical gesture will help us to understand them. Here are the 6 aspects of our assessment. Number one, environment. We should observe their cleanliness of the environment and the surrounding of their house. Number two, financial condition. We should collect the information of this financial condition from those families who are working. How about those non-working members? For example, the children, the young children. Okay, we should pay attention to those family members. Number four, interaction. Observe the interaction between the care recipient with our volunteers. If the care recipient is reserved, then we should spend more time and take care of them to gather more information. Number five, it is our duty to know that how much resources do they get. For example, probably they will get food supply from the relatives, or they get a low income subsidy from the government, or they can give some allowance for a particular group. For example, if they have some disabled members in their family. And number six, we should pay attention to the physical, mental, and emotional aspect of a care recipients. Okay, here are the ground rules after the home visit. What should we do after we pay the home visit? We should update the case record, write down who, when, where, what happened, and the consequence. And we should include the discussion of the team after the home visit. Remember, the information or the record of the care recipient is confidential. Do not expose to any party. And we should do an ongoing assessment in 3 months. How do we help? Here is a case for us to discuss. If there is a care recipient receive a long-term financial assistance, this is a single mother, 30 years old, 30 years old, 38 years old, work as a part-time house cleaner. She has to raise 3 children, 8-year-old boy, 5-year-old boy, and a 4-year-old daughter. The elder son has to undergo a surgery to remove a brain tumor in next week. Which extra assistance would you provide to this family? Here are the 4 options provided for you. Would you please give your answer in the chat box? A, emergency fund. B, education subsidy. C, house repair. D, home care. Which type of help shall we provide to this single mother? We have received few response. Thank you. Yeah, we can provide emergency fund to especially for the medical surgery of the son. And we should do a home care after the surgery of the son to concern the mother, show concern to the mother and the son. Thank you for your response. Now we'd like to share a case of a home care. Mr. Lee is a 60-year-old man. He is blind. Can you hear? Okay. He's blind and he's staying alone. This is his house. He has divorced. His wife and the 20-year-old daughter are staying at another city. This is his house. He owns this house for more than 30 years, and Tzu Chi volunteers has helped him to repair his house twice. And this is a wooden house. Even though he's blind, but he still can take care of the surrounding of his house. Very tidy, very clean. He used his walking stick to show us to walk around, and he managed to go to the nearby grocery to buy some daily supplies. After a long-term home care, Mr. Lee, he has opened his mind and he learned that happiness comes from giving. So he saved some coins into the coin banks, and he would like to pay forward to help the others in need. And he used to donate his bamboo coin bank to our volunteers. Let's watch a story of a love and compassion. Madam Yang is a polio patient. Her husband takes care of her for more than 10 years. They are facing some financial difficulties. Tzu Chi helps to rent a continuous positive airway pressure machine. This machine is very important to provide a stable airway pressure to help the upper airway passage open. Let's watch this short video clip.
In the past, I was living without a soul. Now I'm truly alive. I live for people I love. I live for people around me.
Because of her, I have a complete world.
It's aromatic. I hold a spatula with my mouth to cook. I hold a knife with my mouth. I press the food ingredients with my hands. Yes, that is how I do it. Let me show you one thing. I hold my hand by biting it. I cannot lift my hand. I need to hold it in my mouth for it to be lifted.
然后防止它萎缩。背很痛吗？
Does your back hurt?
这就是伊的两骨啦。
This is her spine. Yes, spine. It has come to the side.
已经跑到侧边来了。
对啊，对啊。
Originally, the stomach should be here. Her stomach is here. Her heart has come to this place. Her lung has been pressed down. It collapsed.
就塌陷，只剩
She
下
only has 10% lung function.
肺功能可以使用。
没办法像一般人可以把那个肺把自己呼吸。
阿 King， 我来看你啊！真久无看哦，今晚好无？好。
有影起来炒饭来要互你吃，你拢唔知。
She's very polite. If we give her something, she would say, "Please don't bring me anything. If you do, I'll feel embarrassed."
She's not greedy and she leads a frugal life.
She called me in September because they could not afford the positive airway pressure.
In the past, we could get subsidies when using positive airway pressure. However, starting from October 2019, the subsidies have been cancelled. There was a person who could not afford to rent one and therefore passed away. I hope a lot of people hear this. You need to call out for help. Don't just wait to die. People will come help you. Unfortunately, Sister Mei Yu has helped us. Tzu Chi has helped us. I do not have to wait and die because I cannot afford to rent positive airway pressure or oxygen producer. I often tell my husband that being alive is something to cherish.
Her husband is not ordinary. This is not something ordinary people could do. Look, he has accompanied her for 10 years. You are his world. His world centers around her.
It is like this. In the past, when I had to use sanitary pad, he changed it for me. Anything that you can think of, he does all of it. I only hope for his good health. If he's healthy, I'll be happy. Or else I worry about him and would not be happy.
If she is doing well, I am fine. It is that simple.
All right, if you want to close the case, we should reassess the needs of each beneficiary once every 3 months to determine if there is a need to fill the gaps in the assistance provided. If you want to terminate the assistance when the beneficiary is found to receive adequate aid from other sources or becomes financially independent, they have back their life on the right track. Okay, so we can terminate some cases with the elderly who stay alone pass away, or we have lost contact with the care recipient. So these are the examples that why we close case. Volunteer may inform the beneficiary in advance of 2 to 3 months before the case closed to give them time to prepare for it. The phone number of the Tzu Chi office can be given to them. As we know, we always are committed to the last to help them. The spirit of the compassion and great love has become the hallmark of the Tzu Chi. Let's listen to the song, Give Love, to inspire us to continue this meaningful journey to relieve the suffering of the needy.
Love's the language of ourselves. Love's out in hearts, not hands alone. Love's our small wish for you to enjoy. We wish you forever peace and joy. Love walks tall while sharing smiles. Love's found in silent gratitude's eyes. Love's giving more than yesterday. Believing strong, brave and not afraid. Give love openly As the sun shines warm light on you and me, across every distance, so show our love, dare to dance. Spread love readily, pave the long road ahead tenderly. Your soothing blessings heal all pain and suffering.
With the increasing complexity of the social problems, the modes of assistance have been improved and adjusted to meet the most urgent needs of the people. Long-term assistance, emergency fund, education subsidy, house repair, home care, these are the basic assistance we can provide to the needy. Let's look into the 4O embracing virtue: giving, loving speech, beneficial conduct, working together. How do we apply this in a home visit? Tzu Chi gives financial assistance, clothing, food according to the relative need of each person to relieve their suffering. This is the type of the giving. Spirit of Bamboo Bank, we encourage the care recipients to do regular saving using the coin bank to help the others in need as a way of passing on the principle of giving. Second, loving speech, comforting those who are in difficult situations, sharing the Jingsi aphorism, our master teaching, or offer any encouragement and the support is a kind of loving speech to our care recipients. It is important to create a positive connection with the people and maintain harmony in the society. Number 3, beneficial conduct, helping others to solve their problems, fulfill their wishes, offering others convenience. When people have hardship, offer financial assistance. And even we encourage people taking part in the relief work, home visit, recycling to benefit communities and the environment. These are all the examples of the beneficial conducts. Working together, collaboration between the volunteers and the particular communities to address their specific needs. It is characterized as adapting to others' capabilities to lead them close to the path of Bodhisattva. Cash for Work program, recruiting members of the community to work as a staff, clean up the area after disaster, rebuilding process, be the virtuous companion and lead the people away from the unwholesome deeds and practice these wholesome deeds. This is the example of the working together. Let's watch the video clip to learn the volunteers how to apply the 4O embracing virtue to help the people.
对我们来说是一间危楼来的，所以这一间屋子其实是需要重建的。
होइन यो घर बनाइदिसकेपछि उनीहरूलाई अलिकति रात महसुस त हुन्छ नि कमसेकम पानी पर्दाखेरि अब राति मध्यरातमा उठ्नु नपर्ने हुन्छ होइन।
Some pieces of plastic sheeting were used to cover the dilapidated roof. During a heavy rain, these plastic bags can't shelter from rain at all. They would become filled with rainwater and drop down. It was the rainy season in Lumbini. The top priority for Tzu Chi volunteers was to help Radhasham repair his house. However, before the construction started, they discovered yet another problem.
他的家跟他妹妹的家是连在一起的。当我们把他的屋子拆掉的时候，我相信他的妹妹的屋子也跟着会倒下来。
Volunteers went to examine Radhasham's sister's house. They found that the house had the same problems such as rain leakage. Thus, the volunteers decided to help both families to build simple houses for them to safely live in.
10月5号就是他们尼泊尔最重要的一个节庆，这个就像我们的新年一样，所以我们就特别的安排，希望能够在新年前可以让他们搬进新的屋子。
Volunteers cared and showed empathy for the villagers' hard work. They serve cold orange peel drinks to show their appreciation to everyone at the construction site.
也非常感恩我们加德满都的志工，还有当地的村民啊，愿意在下雨的时候也一起努力。
To build the house for the blind is very kind things. So I have never done before this. If I was in their situation, maybe it was very difficult for me. Because of them, I can understand or can feel that how hard life is, but also we need to move forward. So I'm very thankful to the Chuchi, because Chuchi is the one of the platform that I have got some opportunity to come here to help the poor.
This simple house was successfully completed. Tzu Chi volunteers invited villagers to participate in a simple handover ceremony. Volunteers also brought quilts for both families and wished them a cozy housewarming ceremony.
पहले बहुत रहा परेशानी रहा, चूहत रहा, गिरत रहा, माटी के दीवार रहा, कुछ सांप की जोर हालत रहे। अब बहुत सजा रहा, यार से बाहर सामान यार वार करल जाए, चूहा चावल कुल अब नगद हो गया।
Volunteers performed the One Family sign language, had warm interactions and brought everyone closer together. They seized the moment to introduce bamboo banks to the villagers, spreading the seeds of goodness and letting love begin to sprout there. Nepal, Eunice, Thusi, Yi Chaolian, Lim Swat Kim, Thai News.
All right, let's discuss how do we apply this 4O and blessing virtue in the home visit. What type of giving is given to this family? Construction materials, and the volunteers contribute their energy, and the villagers contribute their time, love and care. These are all different forms of giving that we can show to the families in need. And what types of loving speech then can be given during the home visit? We saw that the volunteers comforted the owners during their tough time. Beneficial conduct, referring to inspire the volunteers to help the poor, the villagers to donate the money and to rebuild the houses for this family. This is the beneficial conduct. How do we gather the volunteer and the villagers working together? They collaborate to rebuild their houses. We can apply these things to aphorism during the home visit. Remember, we always have to speak good words, think good thoughts, and do good deeds for the needy. How do we practice the 4 embracing virtue in our home visit? Let's think about this. Thank you for giving me a chance to share, and thank you for listening. Cảm ơn.
Thank you, Sister Jingro, for your sharing. All the stories about the home visits were very touching, as we've seen how we can help a family from one small action, and it can turn into many actions, along with the bamboo bank, where they learn how to give back when they also receive help from one another. Before we go on to our break, let us take a group photo with everyone. So if everyone can turn on their cameras, and we'll take a few pictures before we head into our break time. So I'll give a few minutes for everyone to turn on their cameras. I see a couple of people. I see our friends from Sri Lanka and Mozambique and France and the UK and Jordan. And do we have any more of our family online that can turn on their cameras. I'll give one more minute, a few more seconds. Okay, so how about let's get ready for our first picture. Okay, 3, 2, 1, smile.
Sorrido.
Okay, let's go on to the next page. And then 1, 2, 3, smile. And then another one. 1, 2, 3, 慈济. Okay, thank you everyone. So we will have around a 20-minute break. And then we would like everyone to come back to our Zoom. So for Taiwan time, it will be 5:05. So everyone, please come back after 20 minutes. Thank you. Hi, Johan. Doesn't know.
Hello, hi.
Hi. Um,
Can you hear me okay like this? Right now I can't hear you, Vivian.
oh, hold on 1 second.
心事成真回大地，慈悲喜舍为和风，智慧妙法为净水，阴晴静静为阳光，增长一切诸善法，是一切活出无明，坚定到心里宏愿，爱洒苍生尽心灵，悲智远行波山中，根云灌溉菩提林，人间菩萨一念心，愉悦净土在人间。
心事成正为大地，慈悲喜舍为和风，智慧妙法为净水，阴晴静静为阳光，增长一切诸善法，一切活出无明，坚定到心里宏愿，爱洒长生尽心灵，悲智远行波山中，耕耘灌溉菩提林，人间菩萨一念心，愉悦净土在人间，增长一切诸善法，去一切活出无明，坚定到心里宏愿，爱洒苍生尽心灵，悲智远行波山中，耕耘灌溉菩提林，人间菩萨一念心，愉悦净土在人间。
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. For our last class today, we will be talking about the Morocco typhoon that happened in 2009. And today we invite Brother Johan to share with us. At that time, he was also one of our volunteers who helped with cleaning in the aftermath of the typhoon. So we'll pass the mic on to Brother Johan.
Hi, everyone. So good to see you all. Let me share my screen. There we go. Thank you so much, Sister Vivian, for the invitation. And thank you, everyone, for being here. It's such a great pleasure to be here. If you have any issue hearing me or seeing my slides, please just let me know. So I would like to show a little video to start out from August 8th of 2009. So this might look like just any general typical typhoon. If you have had dubious pleasure, as they say, to be in Taiwan during a typhoon or experience a typhoon or a hurricane wherever you are, then you might recognize all these images. But actually, this was much worse than it looked. So the wind was strong, but more importantly, there was an enormous amount of rain that was dumped onto Taiwan, especially southern Taiwan. So it ended up being the worst flood disaster in 50 years. The disaster area covered the entire south of Taiwan, from Jiayi to Taidong. And incredibly, for Taiwan, you would think that nobody would die from a typhoon, but actually there were over 600 people that were killed by this typhoon and over 200 billion Taiwanese dollars. So that corresponds to over $6 billion in damages. So it was a very, very severe typhoon. And the worst affected area I will show you now.
We're here in Shaolin Village. There's a helicopter that is hovering above, but there's not much for them to do at this point. There's not much rescuing. As you can see, this entire valley has been washed out. There used to be 200...
Can you guys hear the sound of the video? I forgot to double check.
Yes, we can hear the sound.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Homes here, and the only indication of anyone ever having lived here are 2 homes to the right here that are still standing. They are the only homes that remain. There used to be a central road through this village, a primary school, a telecommunications office. All that is gone now.
So you can just imagine the size and scale of this landslide. So a lot of people died here. There were over 200 homes. Over 150 people died in this village alone. So the entire mountain basically came down and buried the village completely. Only 2 houses still standing that happened to be right at the edge of the village. So this village is called Shaolin Village, and it's one the most famous, if you wish, villages that were affected by Typhoon Morakot. I mentioned that the entire south of Taiwan was affected. So actually, in the majority of the south, it was not huge landslides, but it was very severe flooding. So you had water that went up close to the top of the first level of many houses, and then as the water flowed out of the houses, what was left was mud. So the water in it has mud, but when it's just flowing like quickly, you don't even notice it. It's just like water just regular muddy water. But then once the water flows out and the mud starts to settle, it becomes very heavy. So even for families that had the strength to clear out their homes, it would have taken weeks and weeks for them to clear it out. So over 150,000 volunteers went from north and central Taiwan down to the south to help with the cleanup effort. And Taiwan High-Speed Rail actually provided free transportation for the people that went down. So most of the time when you have these kind of cleanups, you might imagine that people would go down and stay for a few days and do cleanup every day. That was not possible because there were just not enough places to stay with all the homes being flooded. So people from the north of Taiwan would go down for the day, go down in the morning, and then come back up in the evening. And I think you can guess which organization organized all this cleanup. So yes, you guessed right, it was Tzu Chi. So Tzu Chi organized this enormous cleanup operation with 15 to 18,000 volunteers every single day that went down to southern Taiwan and then back up again in to Taipei or to central Taiwan. And you might see here in this picture, do you see anyone that you recognize? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Yep, that's me right there. So I was one of the volunteers who were in Taiwan at the time. So I happened to be in Taiwan My wife was recovering from her surgery after cancer, and because she was recovering, so she couldn't go herself to do cleanup. So she and her mom convinced me to go, and I had no idea what I was expecting. So I just took it as an adventure. So I set out early in the morning. We took the high-speed rail down south, met up with a lot of 2D volunteers at the train station, took the high-speed rail down south, got onto one of these little trucks, and traveled down from the train station, where the furthest that the bus could go from the high-speed rail station. We took a bus, then we got onto one of these, and which took us straight into the disaster area. And it looked absolutely horrible. I mean, you can see here you can't see the height of the water before this was, I think, a week after the disaster. So the water had already receded a lot. You can't see the height of the water before, but you can see the height of the mud. So it goes up to at least 1 foot. So about 30 centimeter thick mud. And this is very heavy mud. So that's what we were walking through, and that's what we were dealing with inside of the houses as well. So the first house we helped out with, they had the standard look of houses in Taiwan. Oftentimes, they are built so that you can open the front of the house, and then you can just push the mud that's inside the house, push it out onto the street. So that's what we did. We were maybe 10 or 15 people in a team. I went into the innermost, just kind of chopped away at this mud, and people behind me were just sending the mud back out. So we cleaned up the house maybe in an hour or so. There was just no mud anymore on the bottom floor. Of course, they had a lot of fine cleaning to do, but that the family themselves could take care of. The second house we came to is the house that you see in this picture. So if you look closely here, you see that the mud outside of the house is actually as high as the mud inside of the house. So here, the idea of pushing the mud out, just out through the door, would not work. So I was thinking, okay, this house is a lost cause. There's no way that no matter how many people we are, that we will be able to clean up this house. Because it has this it's not even like mud. It was more like thick water, like watery mud that covered the entire first floor of the house. So I was thinking the only thing to do here is just to wait for some cleanup truck to come that can just suck all the water out. That's the only way that this house can be cleaned. I didn't open my mouth. I didn't make this suggestion, and that was a good thing, because some of the other volunteers, they had a different idea. Their idea was, instead of trying to get the water out through the door, let's try to get this mud out through the window. So they took these buckets, and you can see, just looking at this photo, you can see how thick and heavy this is. It's not like the completely settled mud. It's not that thick. It's watery, but it was very heavy water. You can see it very slow flowing. So we started and took turns, just taking one bucket at a time out through the window, another bucket out through the window. Then one small person got a little bit tired. We took turns. So we just kept doing that. Other people were using the shovels and the brooms and stuff in the back to kind of push water in to the kitchen where we were. So I was among the people at the window, just pouring out water. And you can never believe it. Within 2 hours, the house looked like this. So it might still look very muddy, but look at how she stands and her feet there. She's actually in direct contact with the floor. It's just this thin layer of mud left on the floor. So it will of course be a lot of work for her to clean this up, but compared to what this looked like when we came into the house just 2 hours earlier, it's like night and day. Just incredible. And this person who lives here, it's an elderly lady living by herself. There's no way she would ever have been able to clean out that house by herself. So I actually learned a lot of lessons from this. One was the power of dedication, not giving up. The power of faith, believing that we're actually able to do this if we work together. The power of a team, if it would have just been me, there's no way in the world that I would have been able to do this. I mean, it wouldn't have been physically possible. But with a team that works together, this could be done. And the power of working in the same direction, everyone just, okay, somebody suggests this, okay, we just go with it, just work in the same direction. It might not have been the best, there might have been some even better way of doing this, but because this was the idea that people came up with, everybody joined up behind them, everybody did this with full dedication, and everyone worked in the same direction, so we're able to finish the task and save this elderly lady and get her home back. So this, to me, this is really the essence of these 4 words or 4 concepts in Tzu Chi that I hope that you have all heard of already. It's unity, harmony, love, and concerted effort. Sometimes it's called mutual love. Unity, harmony, mutual love, and concerted effort. And these 4 are 4 teachings from the master, and it's also the names of the teams in Tzu Chi. So the concerted effort team is the neighborhood team, the mutual love team is the community team, the harmony team is the greater community, and the unity team is usually like a full city or a whole area. So this experience really brought home to me the importance of this teaching of unity, harmony, love, and concerted effort. How if we all join up behind the effort and all work in the same direction, we can do amazing things. So this was my first experience of Tzu Chi in real life. Before this, I had been a Tzu Chi volunteer for a year or so, but I had only done some events. I had never done actual disaster relief. So this was my first disaster relief experience. I happened to be in Taiwan when the worst disaster of the century hit, or in 50 years. And it brought me, I mean, the disaster was terrible, but this experience actually brought me so much joy and such a great experience of Tzu Chi and of the Tzu Chi volunteers, that this was one of the things that really made me feel that this is an organization that I want to get deeper involved with. So, of course, Tzu Chi's effort was not just cleanup. Cleanup was a huge operation, 150,000 volunteerships. That's really not just a little bit, that's a huge operation. But that was just one part of Tzu Chi's efforts. So Tzu Chi master had this idea of the six P's. We call it 6 P's in English. In Chinese, it's the 6. So peace, P-E-A-C-E, peace. So the 6 peaceful practices, or the 6 peaceful goals, or 6 goals for peace after disaster. Maybe it would be one translation, but we can just call it the 6 P's. So the first of these goals is prompt relief and safety. So in Chinese, it's anshan. So this included hot meals. So actually on the day after, or the evening of the typhoon, Tzu Chi volunteers were already starting to cook in the offices and the Jingsa halls in Taiwan, in southern Taiwan, to cook hot meals for all these people that had their homes flooded. Tzu Chi volunteers would go out in the storm, get to Jingsa hall in order to start cooking, so that everyone would have something hot to eat. And hot food, as I'm sure you have all experienced, it brings more than just nourishment to our body. It also brings a sense of peace and a sense of comfort to our souls. The cleanup, I already talked about in length. Then, of course, Tzu Chi provided relief goods, including emergency cash, eco blankets. Remember, this was this was in August, but still at night you want something warm to warm your body and soul. Relief kits, echo bowls, utensils, and free medical clinics. So they engaged the Tzu Chi Medical Association, TIMA as it's called nowadays, to do free medical clinics. So this was the immediate relief phase. So goal 1, prompt relief and safety. Then the second goal and the immediate and midterm relief. So in the passage between immediate and midterm relief, it's the goal 2, psychological and spiritual support. So this is also a very important part, where the volunteers would personally visit the survivors one by one, visit their homes and accompany them for long term, go and come back, see how they're doing, listen to their stories, be that shoulder to cry on, be that helping hand when there's a need, so that people would know that they're not alone, that there's someone that's got their back if there is a need for them. So the second goal, psychological and spiritual support. The third goal, preservation of children's education. So this included tuition assistance for the children that were affected, academic counseling, because of course many people, so imagine you lose your home and your workplace has already been flooded, so you don't have any income for the time being. Maybe you're a day laborer, or maybe you just don't have a lot of resources. You need to buy all new clothes, all new furniture, all new utensils, everything. So for the children to be able to go to school, that's one important part that people might just not have the resources for right after a typhoon like this. So tuition assistance for affected children is an important part. But also the Tzu Chi Teachers Association went into the schools to do academic counseling for the children, and also involved university students and volunteers who would assist with academic counseling. And then, of course, school reconstruction, especially in the villages that I will talk about in a little bit. Then we have the long-term relief, so permanent housing. The fourth P, and in Chinese, Anju. So usually in this kind of disaster, so for example, after the big earthquake 10 years earlier, the 921 earthquake, not on the day, but on the month 10 years earlier, Tzu Chi had built these temporary housing that could be set up very quickly. Within weeks, you could have the housing all set up and people could move in, and then they could live there for maybe 2 years while they worked to recover their own homes, rebuild their homes, or buy something new. So just a short-term kind of carry people over the disaster. So that was what Tzu Chi did back 10 years earlier in 1999. But this time, many organizations wanted to follow Tzu Chi's lead back then and provide temporary housing. But Master said, not this time. This time, what we need is permanent housing. And I will talk a lot more about this in a little bit. But the permanent housing, she wanted to provide long-term safety for the disaster survivors, not just for the short term. She wanted to build high-quality housing that could last for generations. She was also hoping to keep the tribal communities together. So a big part of this was that she wanted, for example, remember the video that I showed you from Shaolin village up in the mountains? It had been completely buried by a landslide. There was nothing left in the village. This was not the first time that this village had been destroyed by a landslide. It had happened a generation or so earlier. But because people had lived there for generations and generations, they felt this was their home. This was where they had grown up, where their ancestors were from. So they wanted to rebuild where they had lived. But Master felt this is just not safe. I mean, there's just a matter of time before there's another landslide and then another landslide. Are you going to have more people die? Are you going to have to lose everything and rebuild again? they lost not just their houses, but they also lost all their plantations, all their crops, all their property, everything was gone. So she wanted to give people an opportunity to move down from the mountains and to do so in a way that kept the tribal communities together. And of course, for long-term permanent housing, you can't just build houses. You want to have green spaces, you want to have a community center, churches, schools, and so on. So this was the fourth goal, to provide permanent housing. Then the fifth goal, peaceful livelihood. So now we're really talking long-term. Master didn't just want these people to have a place to live. They also needed something to do. They used to have their livelihood up in the mountains. They used to maybe hunt, grow some things, maybe have some animals. So once they moved down to the plains, to the safe part of Taiwan, they would need livelihood support. They would need counseling for how to training to make a different kind of livelihood. And also Tzu Chi worked with the government and with businesses to offer leasing of land and also employment opportunities to the disaster survivors. So the people that moved into these villages, the long-term housing villages that Tzu Chi built, also had Tzu Chi worked with the nearby industries and businesses to employ these people so that they would have working opportunities and that they would have ways to commute to their workplaces and so on. Then the sixth goal, and I think this is where Tzu Chi, where Master was really, her vision is so far ahead of everyone else, was protection of the environment. So not just the people, but also the earth would need this peace and safety. And in particular, she hoped to help restore the natural environment in the mountains and to give the mountains time to rest and recover. So this wish for the people to move down from the mountains down to the plains was not just in order for the people to be safe. It was also for the mountains to be safe, so that they could gradually recover. Nature has an amazing ability to recover. So when there are people are not living there anymore, trees can start to grow, and they can lock the earth, they can lock the mountainside, they can lock up the water, and they can create an environment where you don't have landslides, where the mountains can become safe again. But it takes time, hundreds of years. So these were the six points, the six goals. And these six goals are very important also today in Tzu Chi's relief work. And I think if you have been part of any relief work in your own countries or in other countries, you might have seen some of these actions, but you might not have heard it specifically mentioned. So these six are still the six goals for relief work in Tzu Chi: prompt relief and safety, psychological and spiritual support, preservation of children's education, permanent housing, and a peaceful livelihood, and finally protection of the environment. So these are the things that we as Tzu Chi volunteers should keep in mind when we encounter a disaster, when we plan for how to do disaster relief, and keep reminding each other about these six goals so that we don't miss any of these crucial parts for the recovery of the community and the recovery of the environment. So the biggest of these efforts was definitely the permanent housing, and I would like to show you a little bit from the Shanlin village. So this is the biggest housing complex, about over 1,000 permanent homes. The first home, and this is absolutely incredible story. So the first home were completed in 88 days. So from the disaster in August to the start of building in early November, if I remember correctly, to move in before Chinese New Year, the next year, 88 days of construction, 88 days. And these are permanent houses with all the features that you want of your own home, a modern home. It was resistant to typhoons. They are resistant to typhoons and earthquakes. They're built using a kind of reinforced steel steel technique. You can see it on the top right here. That is usually used for at least 4-story buildings, but these are 2-story buildings. But they're built with this method so that they will be able to sustain even the strongest earthquakes, even the worst typhoons. They're built to last for generations, for maybe 100 years, not short term. They use a special insulation technique. So this is something, when I went to visit, they actually told me about this. They have certain layers in the walls and the roof and ceiling so that the house will be kept cool in summer and warm in winter. So you minimize the energy consumption of the house. And they provided 88 moving gifts. So remember, Baba Shweta, on the 8th of August, the 8th of August, 8/8 was when the disaster happened. The houses took 88 days to complete, and they provided 88 moving gifts, including furniture, wardrobes, all the household items, everything that you could need when you moved into a new house, big and small items. And they had 3 different sizes for different families. Big families of like 6 people and more, smaller families, 3 to 5, and single and couples, 3 different house sizes. So, of course, the houses were built by construction companies, so it would be difficult for volunteers to go in and assist. But volunteers really wanted to help. So what they did was things like landscaping and to lay down these interlocking bricks. So on this whole area, there are no paved surfaces. It's all interlocking bricks, because the interlocking bricks allow the water to go through. So when you have a big rain, you don't get the runoff from concrete or asphalt surface, paved surface, but the interlocking bricks allow the water to seep through in between, so you don't get flooding downstream. They built no less than 2 churches, Christian churches, because there were several different congregations that needed to share the space, so one church would just not have been enough. So they built 2 churches in the community. They provided parks, and this was also something where Tzu was able to go in, Tzu volunteers could go in, parks and landscaping. They built a school, of course. And if you see on the right-hand side, you see this bell. So that bell was the only thing that they could recover from the school in Shaolin Village. So the Shaolin Village bell is hanging there, and it's used it's run to show that it's the start of the day or the end of the day, start of class. So it's an absolutely beautiful school that Tzu provided. It has an indigenous culture center, because when the people moved from the mountains down to the flatland, to the plains, Tzu and Master did not want these people to lose their indigenous culture. They wanted them to revitalize their culture. So they built an indigenous culture center where there are all kinds of cultural activities to keep this culture, to keep the language, and to keep the way of living alive. Provided vocational training, including sewing classes, and also other vocational opportunities. So all of these things are part of this village, and any Tzu volunteer is welcome to go to visit. If you go to visit with a tour, they will actually also maybe have some performances, indigenous performances. You'll be able to visit the culture center, where they also sell some things that they made there, handicrafts and so on. So it's a very, very nice visit. If you come to Taiwan, for example, for one of these homecoming opportunities, and you are able to have a little bit of extra time, 2 extra days, I definitely recommend go down to Kaohsiung. It's in the south of Taiwan, and take a bus out to visit the village. And I'm sure that if you go as a group, Tzu volunteers will be very happy to accompany you. The Tzu volunteers from Kaohsiung are very happy to accompany you and to show you around. They also have a very, very good and very ambitious English language team in Kaohsiung. that I can totally recommend. So I think on behalf of Kaohsiung volunteers, even though I haven't asked them, but on behalf of them, I totally welcome all of you to come to visit Kaohsiung Jingsa Hall and also the Shaolin, the Shanlin village. Okay, so far so good, right? This looks great, doesn't it? Everything seems to have worked out really well. Well, the fact is the journey was very, very difficult. And it was so difficult that Master actually wrote down these 10 phrases to express the difficulty of the journey and how she managed to overcome all these difficulties. So I will give you a video to watch with Master's own words. And then after that, I will talk a little bit about the actual difficulties that Master experienced. And because she doesn't mention so many in details here in this video, but definitely really like this story from Master about the 10 sentences in the journey of compassion.
那从这样开始呢，心里呢，那真的实在是非常的忧虑哈。那往南行的，一站一站的到了屏东，又回头到了高雄，又回头到了台南，这样的一站一站的过来，所以听到他们的，让我心里呢在边听啊边写出了那个时候的心境，所以就是在苦难中长养慈悲。的确，真的虽然这么多的困难呐，那我们假如少了这一份慈悲呢，我们就会放弃啊。看到了这么多的苦难人，我们能放弃吗？不能，我们还要呢。在这样的苦难中，我们更要张扬慈悲哈。虽然有这么多的变数啦，听到这么多的杂音变数啊，要如何能坚持我们的慈悲理念呢？那就要用智慧。来，这个时候就是要来考验我们的智慧的时刻，如何去面对啊？重重的变化，这都是要坚持了这一份的智慧哈。还要呢，在艰难中呢，来激发出了我们的韧力。唔通讲这个韧力啊，伤过车都登去啊所以我们呢要有这一股的韧力那还要在繁琐中学习耐性，因为人与人之间要如何去沟通，你没有耐性啊，实在是没办法。看到了我们的慈济人我们自己要如何磨合？我们呢磨合了以后，如何去面对呢？这么多的灾民，在面对了灾民呢，要如何呢去听杂音化解这样的杂音？这一定呢也要有耐性啊。你面对了那么多重重关关卡卡的人事啊，我们呢看到了这么复杂呢，唯有呢变化一个心态，你去欣赏他的优点，每一个都有优点所以呢，我要换一个心境，不要繁杂，我们呢要去听他的优点所以呢，在繁杂中去欣赏优点我们呢要在 理想中呢求进步。我们既然决定要给他们世世代代永久住宅啦，我们一定呢要在我们的理想中让它耐震，还要耐风，还要美观，还要整个园区的尽善尽美。所以呢，在这么多的重重困难中，更需要呢如我们的理想，我们在理想中还要再进步，所以在理想中求进步。那在人我中呢，要互相感恩。虽然人与人之间很复杂，不过呢，我都鼓励我们的慈济人哎呀，都要多互相的感恩人与人才能磨嘛那无甲你磨，你都袂记嘛。所以呢，我们彼此之间互相勉励那人我中呢，互相感恩我们只为了在社会中能祥和，因为呢，这样的纷纷扰扰的人生我们更希望安定了人心让他安居乐业山河大地平安人居住在这一片大地呢，才能平安。所以呢，我们还是以最虔诚的心，要来祈求天下消弭灾难，这都是要大家共聚的福，造福人群安定民心让人人呢平安，这都是呢我们在这一段时间呢，把这样的我就把它写下来但愿我们真的人人呢在苦难中成长智慧其他的一切呢，那就是互相感恩彼此用力呢来推动，那就是无事不成天下事是人的一心念来造成的。
Thank you, Master. So I think Master very clearly expresses the worry in our hearts and all the thoughts that you had as this went through, but she didn't talk about the details of what these difficulties were. She just said that there were so many difficulties and so many changes going on. So I interviewed some of the people. I mean, back then I was only part of the cleanup work. I was not very involved at all in Tzu Chi, besides just helping out as a volunteer. So I didn't know anything about all of this that was happening. So I interviewed some of the people that were actually part of this, that are working still in Tzu Chi in my office, actually. And some of the difficulties that Master is talking about, one big part was convincing the tribes to move from the ancestral homes in the mountains down to the plains, to a safe location. These people, they used to have all their property up there, they had their livelihood up there, they had their ancestral homes, they had their they had their lives and many generations back up in the mountains. So for them to even imagine moving down to the plains was something very, very difficult. So that was a big part of it. But there was also a lot of dying, as Master often says, a lot of noise from other organizations, criticism, where people were saying, okay, so now we want to build these temporary housing, but then Tzu Chi has to do like one up on that. Why do you always have to be the best? Can you really deliver something like this? You say that you want to build like high quality homes, can you really build them good enough in such a short time? You have to take responsibility toward these people, right? So there was a lot of these words that came at Master from all different directions. Doubt from the community whether Tzu Chi would actually be able to do what they had said that they would do. Another part was getting land from the government, something that Master actually mentions in this video, and you will hear it in a little bit as well. It was the difficulty of getting the land, like that kept changing the location of the land and things like that. And then another part was identifying the people in real need. Some people, they were written in the mountains, but they actually lived in the city. So to make sure that Tzu Chi was helping the people that actually had lost their homes, not just their second house. So there was a lot of difficulties. And this is where these 10 principles of compassion come in. So amid suffering, cultivate compassion. Amid setbacks, put wisdom to the test. Amid hardship, develop resilience. Amid tedium, practice patience. Amidst complexity, appreciate the positive. From our ideal vision, strive to improve. Among people, show mutual gratitude. Among society, let us live in harmony. And then the additional, may the earth recuperate itself and may the world be free of disasters. So these are words that Master wrote down as an encouragement for herself and for Tzu Chi volunteers. And using these principles, Master helped herself and the volunteers to elevate their vision and their viewpoint on this. So they found solutions. One by one, they found solutions to every single one of all these challenges. So how could you get these people to move from the mountains? They worked very closely with the tribal elders and with the religious leaders, actually the pastors, because the indigenous people that live in the mountains are Christian to a very high degree. So working with the pastors, with the tribal elders, was a very big part. Then they would visit the families one by one, talk to them, understand what their needs were, and make sure that their needs would be fully taken into account in the new villages. Then responding to criticism when people criticize, to just express gratitude, not try to push back, but to express gratitude for people's concerns and worries. Respond to doubt with patience and maintain a positive mindset, maintain that faith that we will be able to do this. So I think there are a lot of lessons we can learn from the Morakot relief. One is to believe in ourselves. Master succeeded in this despite all the difficulties. And Master has always said ever since she started, trusting that we are selfless and trusting that there is love in everyone. If we can follow this principle, then patient to work with the community, look to the true needs of the people, elevate our vision, not get bogged down in the little arguments. And then if it's the right thing to do, do not give up. So these are some of the lessons, and I would like to end. I have another minute and a half, so I would like to end with a few words from Master, her closing words.
所以爱在迄个变数中吼，会当吼经得起经验考验，因为很多的变数。我主吼，这台风开始了，咱决定讲吼要帮助，但是要帮助呢，地方提供出来，一变再变，一变再变，变到吼，真的快要考倒我了吼。所以啊，我家己的自我安慰啊，嘛要甲大家人互相勉励啊，在变数中吼，要有考验的智慧。所以讲，彼地相闻啊，慈悲咱来不断成长吼，那智慧呢，咱来勤得考验，那希望各位，咱第一回啦。可能呢，你们也会听到了很多的吼。那不过智慧的人呐，总是呢不会受婚姻是非传说啦吼。虽然咱有真多呢考验啦，那一定呢 用咱的智慧啦去接受考验。
Thank you so much. That's my sharing.
Thank you, Brother Johan, for your wonderful sharing about the Morocco typhoon. I remember that at that time it had been a while since I had come back from Taiwan, and the first typhoon that I ever encountered was this typhoon, which was really scary considering it being the first one, because I was in Kaohsiung at that time. So it was a very significant event that happened in Taiwan, and it was also a very important lesson that we've learned through our Tzu Chi volunteering. So thank you very much. Next we will be listening to a teaching from Master Cheng Yen. So today's life wisdom topic is learning from the Grand Master's service, which let us diligently listen to Master Cheng Yen's teaching.
非常的感恩这样的因缘，在彰化无量义法随颂能够8场在彰化演出。7月17号，我们就进驻彰化体育馆，在每个角落我们都擦得非常的清洁，打扫每一个地方。接下来就是演艺台的舞台布置，差不多200多个志工，在家一直在搬这个地板、铺地板。我安尼想，我讲吼，这若唔是有使命感的志工，得钱要去请嘛，请无人啦吼。我们活动的3天，我们受到彰化县政府各级处室鼎力的相助，还有大中区和合护学共同圆满演绎，把握殊胜因缘。彰化承担了交通、机动所有的香积茶水工作，动员所有的师兄师姐全力以赴。
师父跟他讲，做啦，有做都有得啦。虽然付出了后，总是呢，感觉心里很踏实感。
真的，这一次非常感恩那个县政府还有警方方面的团队，而且他们每一个场次啊，派出很多的警力，真的是很感恩的是，尤其是那个29号那天晚上啊，我们的会众在那么滂沱的大雨之下，他们非常热情的来参加，但是那么大的雨浇不熄他们的热情，而我们执行交通的师兄啊，也毫不退缩的不言累，就是一直在那边很坚持的，所以在这里。我替所有师兄向上人说，我们彰化慈诚永远都在我们永远都在上人的身边。
真的是很感恩呐！看到您相机也嘛是同款，真辛苦啦，是烧的是冷的，咸甜啦。相信呢，大家拢爱真用心啦。总讲一句呢，一切啦，总是爱先用心用力付出的结果啦。感受了后呢，应该都爱定定放伫记忆中这场是真正的发挥。 不是叫做办活动，是真正的完成了一场很虔诚的大法会。因为人人都是呢用虔诚的心在这，咱一直呢都是讲善业共治，善业共治呢，那就是伫咱的身口意业，身口意，身就是亲像这回，恁安尼吼愈真赞啊！虽然唔是大家人拢上台顶去演绎，不过呢，只有座位，伫大家人坐着的座位里，那一种目睭伫咧看，应该都是很专注，那就是目睭。应该大家人咧听，这么久的时间啦，彩排每一段的经文。恁已经呢朗朗上口，也已经呢深入伫脑海中。那所以讲，目睭看，耳仔听，身躯伫咧动作，佮唱出来的，这都是呢身心口意都很虔诚。这六根啊，六根吼。都是拢总结合起来，迄份的诚意啦，没有漏掉。就是讲，这个中间呐，拢无有无明，无无明啦，那很专注啦。这种六根清净吼，那几千人啦汇合在一起，所以讲吼，这场是真正的大法会啦。大虔诚的会合，所以讲，我真感恩吼，大家人嘛拢真虔诚啦。那看到真感恩的无量义经，无量义经呢，似乎已经互大家人手中，大家人拢有一本的无量义经。要搁再次甲恁提醒，期待大家人，咱伫每一天啦，无量义经爱拍开来，不管是一品，或者是一段，总是呢，天天啊，甲无量义经摕来读。读一段，哪怕是一句一句啦，经典内底嘛讲啊，真的，哪怕是一句一句，咱若会当虔诚念诵啦，真正是功德无量。所讲的功德，就是讲，我体会到啦，我了解啦，这句经真深奥、很深奥的话，那。我突然间去体会到我昨天的一件事，或者是呢，我读到今天呐的想要做的代志，也已经呢有体会到，不管是过去、现在啦，哪怕是未来，对这个法啦、道理啦，会真清楚，讲一理通啦。万理铁吼，这听经，上重要的就是要听伊的道理。所以讲，听经功德大，咱的经文内底嘛安尼讲，毋是安尼听功德就大，听落去爱有入心，入心了后呢，道理了解，自然呢，咱要做啥物代志。恶的绝对无做，那善的呢，应该听会随喜功德，这听的赞叹嘛是吼一念善啦。那当然啦，会警惕自己呢，知恶莫作。那善的呢，众善奉行，彼此之间互相勉励， 都是说好话，说好话呢，那引导人人做好事，这就是咱社会人间的平安。嘛是师父跟他讲，净化人心啊，才能祥和社会。人心净化，社会祥和，绝对呢是咱的家庭、咱的社会，总是会感觉讲很祥和，天天都很吉祥，袂互咱心有烦恼，这是真重要。其实呢，深入经藏，就是为着安尼。咱这回哈，真正伫中华遮办这场，是一个真虔诚的大法会，大家人都大动员，大家大动员啦。看到恁的虔诚吼，那每一个地方去清扫啦，那去补贴啦，坑洞啦，恁安尼吼涂骹坑洞，啊要安怎去铺？啊，搁再呢惊损害，哦，这总是呢孝物。师父跟人讲，行路啦，要用心啦，走路要轻，怕地会痛。对啊，这个过去咱都这一首歌，走路爱轻啦，行土地会疼，这就是疼爱的心啦。所以这种疼爱的心呢，那就是为人间平安啦，大家人的心啦爱善，行善啦，造福啦，这就是大法会平时都爱做，唔是讲几年吼才来做一遍，唔是吼，是咱爱平时都爱做啊！真期待各位菩萨、慈济人啦，所归取啦，所归礼啦，我拢一直要甲恁讲感恩。一旦呢社会有代志，大家人呢拢是很用心、爱心啦、虔诚去付出啦，所以大家人也做有够啦，期待这主者的精神力量，吼，大家人爱守护好，吼。
Okay, thank you, Master, for the teaching. Now let us put our palms together and let us pray for a world free of disasters and a world full of peace.
In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. All my heart is filled with sincere prayer. From all corners nurture wisdom evermore that has filled the world with hope. In my heart I feel deep gratefulness. May all the Buddhas know my prayer. All united with one heart, that just end our hate with love. May there be no suffering hereafter.
People's mind be purified, society be peaceful, and the world full of free of disasters. So we thank everyone for joining us this year for and attending all our sessions. So whether or not you have, everyone please be seated. So whether you have come the first time or you have been here for all 4 times, we thank you for coming to our English volunteer sessions. So included in the worksheet that we have today for our workshop, we also have a QR code and a link to a feedback page. So the QR code is on the page right now. So please scan it, or later on you can click onto the link in the workshop sheet. So we appreciate some of the feedback that you could give to us, as we hope to make our sessions better each year. So everyone, please fill it out and kindly please complete it by the 16th of September, which is in 1 week. Really appreciate it, and it will take around 10 minutes of your time, so it shouldn't be too long. And as we end the session for today, we'd like everyone to stand up and put your palms together as we pay respect to Buddha and Dharma and Master Cheng Yen. So first bow, second bow, and third bow. Okay, thank you everyone for attending today. So everyone can go on to your break, and then we will, everyone will head into their workshop time. So please, all of our group leaders, take the time and let our volunteers know when to attend the workshop. Thank you, everyone, and thanks for a great year. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Cảm ơn sư姐, cảm ơn您.